My name is Charles Arnold Tarbell. I'm the current president of the Society of the Cincinnati in the state of New Hampshire, and it's been a wonderful 3 years. At 4:30 this afternoon, I will be presiding over my last meeting of the membership, the annual meeting. And at the end of that meeting, we'll be electing a new president and a slate of officers, which is a wonderful thing. I got a phone call from Chris Child, who was membership co-chairman and was on the membership committee at the time. He's a professional genealogist and a member. He said, just give me a few names of your ancestors. So I rattle off a few: Badger, my grandmother's maiden name, old New Hampshire names. And he called back and said, well, that one, he was but he was a colonel. But he was more of a quartermaster type. He was good at supplying the troops, but he was in the militia. He wasn't in the Continental Army. So about 15 minutes later, he goes, I have one. It's Major Caleb Robinson. And I said, great, Chris, thank you. It's not a direct ancestor, it's what do they call collateral. But, truly qualifying, and I'm a hereditary member, and he was a high-ranking officer, and well thought of. However, he had never been represented in the Society of Cincinnati, which I feel really proud to be able to do that. But there were also the alternative stories on that. But President John Adams was a first cousin of one of my direct ancestors. So we share, Henry Adams, John Alden, all those people. My great aunt, she wanted to have one of her sons represented in the Cincinnati. So that was the first time I'd heard of it. And she thought very highly of the organization. And they were just talking about it as being something to aspire to and know about and a good thing. And but I thought it was always the first son of the first son of the first son of the first son thing. So I thought, I'm the son of the second son, never gonna happen. But Bud Patton, again, Walter Patton of Boston, said, Charlie, you should look into it. A certain group of us feel strongly that our ancestors served and served well. It's the first so-called veterans organization. I'm not sure they thought of it at the founding, but they were a team. They went through very difficult times together. They got to know each other very well, and who worked well, who was competent. And over that long period of time, developed a bond. And so when that ended, they didn't want that bond to end. And they wanted their children and grandchildren and so on to a degree share that. And I think to a degree we do that. And with Jonathan Woods and Jack Warren and all, founding of the American Revolution Institute and our own museum, are trying to share that more broadly with a larger audience, and I think we're doing that very successfully. The New Hampshire Society, we operate the American Independence Museum, so we're sharing our collective objects and history and educational aspects to a broad regional audience and national audience through any means we can, internet and reaching out to public schools, operating the museum itself. And certainly Anderson House is doing the same thing in the Washington area and nationally, obviously. There are groups of us throughout the country, regionally, in the original 13 states, as well as in France, who share those ideals and those memories, and so each one of us individually is somewhat of an ambassador to those ideals of the revolution, and through each of us individually, it may be a small thing, but we reach out to our peers and friends and share our pride and memories and history with others. A small example of that would be the restoration of the Rochambeau statue in Newport, Rhode Island, which has just been completed recently, the base of it and the statue. The original statue, I just read, was destroyed by the Nazis in World War II. Our copy in Newport existed. We used that copy and shared that back again with the nation of France so they could recreate that statue again. So, small things, but it's the larger ideal. Trying to do a better job at educating people to appreciate the freedoms and values that of our the founding of the nation, that we strive over time to perfect, and we have through amendments, and our Constitution is able to change, and we become a better nation over time. Where no one's ever perfect. I'm not perfect. No one's perfect. The nation was not perfect at its founding. I think the founders knew that. It was an incredible attempt to do the right thing and try this incredible experiment. And every generation needs to be educated as to how valuable these freedoms and our system of government are, and how we can thrive, but we need to appreciate it. We need to appreciate the history. It's very difficult, but we'll always try.